Outlaws do advocates, we speak the truth. Got a mic in our hand, yeah, we're breaking loose. From behind the bars, the breaking glass roofs. We're telling our stories and dropping mad truth. Yo, it's George, Jesse, and Jeremy on the mic. 3 outlaws on a mission, man, it feels so right. We were doing hard time, now we're dropping rhymes. Turn the hustle into hope, redefining our prime. From the prison yard to podcast fame, taking back our power, no more shame. We used to win numbers, now we win names. Laughing at our haters, cause we changed the game. We got Todd Wade in the house for 26 years. Now he's out here teaching.
Band. Start taking classes.
All right, guys, welcome. Outlaws to Advocates podcast. Great night tonight. We have Barbell Saves in the house.
Yeah.
Save they do. I've been hearing about these guys since fucking prison through Maddie Bergoglio. Oh, yeah. She used to come in and talk about you guys all the time. It's a great resource. My name's George Nolan, reentry recovery advocate. Let's go around the room and introduce everybody.
Jesse Messer, recovery advocate like George. I've heard nothing but good things about you guys.
Yeah, really looking forward to this. Again, just to double down on them, we've heard a lot about you. We're really grateful to hear more about mindset and CrossFit and what you're doing to save lives.
My name is Jeremiah Wynn. I'm just glad to be here and appreciate the opportunity. Share about our company.
I'm Rob Best, and the founder of the Barbell Saves Project, and the reason that everybody's tuning in right now. I'm just kidding.
Well,
I like the best with Jeremiah. We have this back and forth where, his last name is Wynn and my last name is Best. So
nice.
Like, yeah.
So who's the best winner? Built-in competition.
I'm like, I'm the best. He's like, well, I can't lose.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you guys here. And I didn't even know, and I probably would have reconsidered that you've known Jesse for 20, 30 years, whatever. If I would have known that, we probably would have had a different conversation.
No, you'd have been on sooner, of course.
But it was cool. I seen you guys out at, I've been to your facility. And then, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but I ran into your old outreach guy who's going through some things now.
Yeah.
And then me and Maddie went down there for your...
Yeah.
When you switched over, I don't.
You went to the open house for our outpatient treatment center.
For your outpatient.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you're doing with the outpatient, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
We were talking about it before. We love that, man. What a great program.
So at the Barbell Saves Project at the nonprofit, that's where like anybody that's in recovery with 48 hours or more can come be a part of a free CrossFit community / yoga community. It's just like going to a 12-step meeting. You just show up, you become a member. There's no cost at all, and for the rest of your life, you can work out next to me and Jeremiah. But our newest venture is an outpatient treatment center. It's right in between Barbell Saves and New Freedom. So it's on the other side of I-17. And that's where you and I, where we met with Maddie.
Right.
Yeah, so it's more of the same, just kind of like this holistic approach to treatment, basically. And so, it's a 72-hour IOP. Only our version looks a little bit different. So when a member joins into that, they're going to do an hour of fitness, right? Like an hour of CrossFit class with a peer support certified CrossFit coach. And then they'll go right into a yoga class, peer support certified yoga instructor, and then a group wellness session with a counselor. So that's what your 3 hours would look like in our IOP.
That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. And so, we just launched that. And that's actually where Jeremiah, where he came in, is working with business development. We're gonna have to eventually tell him how we met, basically.
Well, I was the program director for the Life Changing Wellness and Treatment Center, and I was introduced to Rob. And when he started sharing with me about his program, what they had to offer, I was actually redeveloping the whole curriculum and all the programming at Life Changing. And I was like, man, we need to incorporate this because physical fitness has been huge in my recovery journey. Right, it always has been. So, being a veteran, being incarcerated, that was, without even realizing, we were just talking, without even realizing it was a coping skill, right? Or a very healing. When I first got sober, working out was extremely important. So I was like, we need to incorporate this somehow. And Rob was like, absolutely. So we actually partnered up with him, started bringing my clients to his facility. So we'd do our IOP in the morning, and then we'd transport our clients after lunch to Barbell Saves. The staff there was just amazing, just the way they worked with them. We had somebody in a wheelchair, 2 people in walkers, and they were very intimidated with the workout, right?
Of course,
'Cause
yeah.
most people are, especially if they haven't ever worked out. And so I was like, no, we mandated it as part of our program. It was a program actually we offer, but we utilize barbells and their coaches and their staff, and they were just immediately the clients fell in love with them. You know, they did their assessments. They get there. They do a what they call a check-in, where they kind of sign in on a computer. There's a question of the day that they tailored to whatever our curriculum was for that day, and then that workout.
Can you give me an example of that?
So, like, if we were talking about resolving conflict, for instance, they would have a question of the day. So whatever our curriculum was at our facility, we'd relay that information to barbells, because the coaches come over to our facility and say, hey, what do you guys got going on for the day? And then we'd say, this is what we're doing Tuesday, this is what we're doing Wednesday, this is what we're doing Thursday. And they would tailor it to their question of the day when they get there. So it'd be some question revolving around resolving conflict. And then that workout or that yoga meditation was always what?
Yeah, tied
to that question,
like,
that recovery
and that's
question.
really where it's different. It's not. Oftentimes, people hear about the Barbell Saves Project and they see the CrossFit stuff and they think, "Hey, that's super cool." Like, you just invite people that are uniquely qualified, like they're in recovery, and then they do CrossFit together. And it's like, yes, but also, right? Also, we're having these other conversations because, again, you know, that's what we're trained on. That's what we're qualified for. We're opening the members up to share more about their recovery stories. Maybe where they're at that stage in their recovery. Maybe you got 10 years. Maybe you got 2 months. Maybe you're struggling with parole, maybe promotion, right? And so if we put that stuff out there, the community can support, right, and be helpful to that individual. So intentional community with the purpose of, like, you know, creating a positive network and having that impact has always been kind of at the forefront of what we do. And so, like, what Jeremiah is referring to is like our relationship with outside agencies like Sanctuary, like Life Changing Wellness, these other companies where we can play this role as like a secondary provider and add that component to their existing programs. We've been doing that now for about 4 or 5 years successfully, and that's really, really cool. And now, again, you know, our next venture is to move into a higher level of care, higher level of treatment. So the OTC offers that opportunity for us. And, you know, my wife's a physical therapist, so now we'll start to incorporate physical therapy as a part of that, because, you know, something like 10% of all the clients that we serve, they're, you know, guys like us. They got hit by a car,
Banged up,
they got fucking shot, they got stabbed. It's shocking. They never went to physical therapy. So, you know, so like there's that need again. It's like, man, this really sucks. Like these, you know, guys and gals are like really fucking banged up. You know, this shit that's out on the street right now, and fentanyl is like, it really fucks people's bodies up, man. If they've had exposure to that for a couple years, you know that. Like, I mean, fucking bent over, that's no joke. That's fucking ruining your body. It's going to ruin your confidence, it's going to ruin your self-esteem, even when you get yourself back on track.
It blew my mind because obviously not obviously, but I was in prison for 10 years. I get out literally a year ago today.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. But that was like the first thing I noticed. I was like, everybody's fucking bent over.
Yeah.
Everyone,
Staring at the ground.
Yeah, and I thought it was, you know, because they were high, but it's like deforming people.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
know sober people that have been through it, and now they're fucking stuck like that.
Yeah.
And
No,
It's kind of
I
like
know a couple
paralysis.
people that
It's
are.
a nerve. It's like a nerve and muscular thing. So like the fentanyl over time,
Mixed with that trank too.
it messes with your ability to like literally stand upright and the function of your skeletal muscle system, whatever you want to call it, right? And so it forces you into that position. Not like when we would, not because we were fucked up, but it's just a little bit different than that. So it's a unique thing to this problem that we have right now.
Yeah, we had a buddy of ours that we were incarcerated with, and just recently he came off a sick one, went to detox, and they tested him at detox, and he'd been on the street smoking fentanyl, and there was no fentanyl in his system.
Wow.
It was straight tranquilizer, straight xylazine, and half of his body was basically frozen. I mean, he couldn't move his hand for 60 days?
Yeah.
Before he could even start moving his hand again. I mean, it effed him up.
Yeah, so we get guys and gals like that, right, that come
Are
in.
we censoring now? I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Well, I'm working with adolescents.
If you have a child at home, bring him to me.
Yeah, so we had. So anyway, we have clients coming in, and you know, they go through their individual. The staff was great. They get a physical fitness instructor, a coach, a peer support's on site. Somebody's having a bad day, they pull them out. The peer support will pull them off on the side, do a one-on-one with them. But they, you know, facing those initial fears of working out, you know, a couple people in the walker, like I said, they do an individual assessment on their physical limitations. You know, what type of, and they come up with the individual workout regimen for that individual person, but then we do it in a group setting. And everybody felt so comfortable. After just a couple of weeks, my clients were like trying to get out of going to class in the morning. I'm sick or whatever, but they wanted to be transported to barbells, right, for the work, for that part of the program. And
Adult recess.
yeah, and I immediately, you know, fell in love with barbell. And then I'm also a court mentor in the courts. So I
No, that's huge. We were talking about that a little bit before the podcast. We probably should have saved it for here, but we can get into it again. That's fucking huge, bro.
Yeah, I'm want to give back, right? I mean, I've discovered my purpose. I mean, I've been in and out of the rooms, struggle with relapse. I mean, a lot of people say relapse is a part of recovery. I totally disagree with that. Relapse is part of my testimony, but it's definitely not a part of recovery. Right? Just means you haven't quit. But for a long time, when I got out of the military, I just lost my purpose. I always struggled trying to find out what that purpose was. I also was recently diagnosed with complex PTSD, so I've been undiagnosed for 20-something years. I struggled with night terrors for a long time. I've got on the proper medications now to deal with that, but before, that's why I fell in love with my drug of choice, right? Which was not fentanyl. But I didn't go to sleep at night, because if I didn't have to go to sleep at night, nobody came and visited me in my dreams, right? So struggling with that for 20-something years, when I finally was broken down to the point where I needed to make changes in my life, I finally fully surrendered, you know, and that's when my purpose was revealed in life. And then I got into the courts on my own probation. The judge was asking me if I had ever been in veterans court before. I said, absolutely. Back in 2015, when I was released from prison, he said, well, everything's changed and everything's about to change again, so I just want you to bear with us, right? We're trying to revamp the program or whatever. So I just raised my hand and it was just, hey, how can I help? What can I do? You know, so very quickly, I mean, I was, you know, became a court mentor and started just, you know, I'm not just there representing barbells today. I'm there mentoring for the, you know, the client, basically, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Some people don't fit our model or our program, and that's okay. You know, let's get you into Crossroads or Cornerstone.
Yeah,
you know?
where do you fit? Let's figure that out.
Let's figure that part out. That's what's important. Let's get you the help you need, right? And if you fit into our model, then great. We can get you into our ILP. If you're into another facility, we can be that secondary provider, like Rob was talking about for your program, and kind of, you know.
I think Jeremiah's brushing over the fact that he was on probation. He was the defendant, and he was still helping all the guys navigate the system. They recognized that, as so did we. And we were like, holy shit, the spirit of this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going through his own shit. And I know how selfish I was. Like, I didn't give a fuck about anybody else. You know, poor little me. But he's over here still busting his ass and, you know, raising his hand and saying, like, hey, I think I can help you guys. I'm starting to see, like, there's some gaps here. These guys don't know what the hell is going on. They don't really understand how to navigate out there. You guys are saying things like, you're hearing, I don't have a cell phone. Jeremy was like, I think I can help him get a cell phone. You know,
so I found a cell phone guy.
Yeah, so we found a cell phone guy.
Brought him into the courts. He has to be a veteran, right?
So he's on
now
probation
he's
the whole time.
And signs people who don't have phones. I'm like, oh, that gap is now bridged. You got a phone, you can now call us, right? You can call your probation officer now.
And that's the coolest part of the story, is that, I mean, you know, not up until just recently, for over 4 or 5 months, you know, Jeremiah was doing this stuff for free, right? He wasn't asking anything of anybody. He was just doing it because it needed to get done. And good on the courts, they recognized pretty quick that they had an issue. You know, we got a guy on probation who's basically mentoring all these dudes. Yeah. So just recently they
kicked me off probation
kicked all that 2.5 years early.
I bet.
Dismissed $4,500 in fines, you know, and that's just the promises, right? That's exactly what the big book talks about, right? Is you know, if he will provide what I need if I keep close to him and perform his work well. Yeah. Right. I teach the back to basics class at Crossroads. I was just talking about this last night. You know, as long as I continue to keep close to my Creator and perform his work well, to freely give back what was freely given to me, right? Then I'm gonna be okay.
Absolutely.
And you're talking about God, right? Not me.
God, yes.
Okay, right.
Yeah. I mean, you're
For the okay.
well, Lauren's right
Yeah,
after
right,
God,
right,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the double down, right? Like, so with CrossFit, you know, and recovery, you know, even being out here and being free can get uncomfortable sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But when I look back on what CrossFit has done for me is that, like, embrace the suck, right?
Yeah.
There's like this mantra about it. It just tells you that I'm going to get through it. Yes, it sucks. Breathe hard, breathe easy, whatever it takes. There's an end game
yeah.
here,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And like that dark place that a lot of people haven't experienced comes from that physical agility spot where you just want to like
Yeah.
just back out from, and then you combine that with recovery and leaning into the creator, dude. It's cloud nine, bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
Well,
cloud nine.
with no, if you're not uncomfortable,
Yeah,
then no change is happening.
yeah. No change is happening.
Right. So it's
Yeah, so we induce that uncomfortability, and that's on like obviously in my recovery. I went through, I went to this place called Maverick House. Shout out to Maverick House.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ed,
and
now.
Crossroads.
they saved my life. And
Sanctuary.
Sanctuary. Okay.
Department of Corrections.
Department of Corrections.
Oh, always. I mean, first and foremost, everybody at this table's lives was changed by Department of Corrections. So shout out to them.
Absolutely.
My dad
responded
stays in
well to
contact
the,
with the police
culture.
officer that actually arrested me.
Yeah.
Because he
Saved your fucking life.
Well,
Yeah.
I was up a tree with a knife, like I wasn't doing okay. When they got me in, it wasn't pretty.
Was
I tried
that
to escape.
was that like an analogy, or were you actually up a tree with a knife?
literally,
Okay.
literally. This was back in the like bath salts and meth days. So
Oh,
like,
Wow.
it was an ugly night, and this officer, kind of he watched. I tried to escape and like all this stuff. I mean, I was just out of my mind, and they put me in the room, and I sat there for a week. But he watched the transformation of, the insane state that I was in, and
Yeah.
transformed into this caring normal guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just couldn't believe it. So
Yeah.
he reached out to my dad, and he's like, your son's a good guy. He's just in a bad way, and he really helped to get me out of a tough spot.
That's
and
pretty
kinda
cool, man.
Checked in on me. So yeah, the big shout out to those guys for all the work that they do. But back to our lives are hard. Everyone's lives are hard. Everyone has their own difficulties, their relationships, or having kids, or getting kids back in your life, or going and getting a job and actually having to show up on time, or whatever it is. It's hard. But the truth is that if you do things that are physically hard in a controlled environment, that does translate over to overcoming those same difficulties. It's like
Success.
science. It's like science.
Yeah.
So you can safely go out and test yourself physically, pushing your physical limits, and that does transfer over to being able to study for a final.
No.
Right, getting a job, sitting, not sweating through an interview, like how nervous I would get. Like, man, I used to just be situations like this. I would just be covered in sweat, right, and just always felt insecure, not good enough. And you're right. It was actually obviously all the work that I did with counselors, doing 12-step, being a part of all those programs, but it's also then on my own, kept pushing those limits physically. And it does seem like it's transferring over, to being able to push myself doing hard shit. Like, even though,
Like this morning, I woke up 5. I'm at the gym, 5:30.
That's
I
really
hit a
insane.
wad. I gave myself the invitation,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
I knew that what was about to happen, I was going to go to a dark place, and I was going to challenge myself mentally and emotionally. And I had a great day today, all friggin' day,
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah. It works. And so that was kind of our journey. That's what we've been up to, right? I mean, I've been a CrossFit gym owner here in the Valley for over a decade. So that was always a part of my individual story, then giving back by starting Barbell, and trying to spread that and pass it on to other people. In January, I got introduced to yoga, which was like the farthest thing from what I would have introduced, right? I was like, I'm going to stay in my lane. You remember that Will Ferrell video? He was like, we're going to do one thing and one thing only. I always thought that would be me. And then this lady comes in and freaking introduces yoga to me, and I asked my clinical director, I'm like, dude, this shit seems like, voodoo shit. I'm like, is this stuff real?
I call it hippie
Yeah,
bullshit.
is this
right?
hippie bullshit?
Yeah.
And he goes, he's like our army officer, hard ass dude, and he's like, oh no, it's real. I'm like, fuck.
It's
I'm like,
harder.
"All right." And so now I get the yin and yang effect, right? Where I got real comfortable doing really physically challenging things. I'm the first guy you want to call. If you're like, hey, you want to go do a marathon? Fuck yeah, I do. Let's wear a weight vest. That became easy for me, and that became my new comfort. Now it's like, hey, do you want to sit still and meditate? Fuck no, it's terrifying. I don't do that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I talk about this in prison all the time.
Yep.
Every time I go into the prisons, I work mostly with the men. I'm like, hey, so who in here's got discipline? Almost everybody raised their hand. Oh, I got discipline. How do you have discipline? I work out every fucking day. Cool, man. Do you enjoy working out? Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Is that discipline?
You're doing things you like.
Yeah, you're doing something you enjoy, and that's great to get there, because the first day you work out, most of us don't like it, right? It takes a while, whether if you're like me and you're worried about what everybody's looking at, or how much weight you're not, for me, how much weight I'm not lifting, that type of, mental shit. But you get to a place when you do it, and you overcome that habit. It's the same thing with reading fucking books, or going to school, or learning a new job, or learning a new trade, or whatever that is. It's always going to suck at first. And we throw that word around, uncomfortability, like, oh, you're going to be uncomfortable. But uncomfortability fucking sucks, dude. Like, it's so much more than a word, right?
Yeah.
Like, it can be some of the worst, darkest, shittiest moments of your life. And something I've seen, like, everything is just on the other side of that.
Yeah.
You just got to do it any fucking way.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit how you feel.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit if you want to do it. Nobody gives a shit if you're having a fucking bad day. Show up every single day. Do whatever that thing is that you need to do. Keep pushing. Good things are going to happen. Write it down. That's something that yesterday, I'm traveling to Pennsylvania next month to go visit my son, who's a police officer. And I always throw that in there because I just think it's funny.
That's great.
But I was going through my stuff looking for my birth certificate. I had just moved. And I found in my book that I wrote down a goal in prison to graduate college by April of this year.
Shut up.
Swear to God, dude. I have it written down in my little goal sheet for getting out of prison.
Did you forget about that?
Completely forgot about it. But I wrote it on that fucking I haven't looked at that shit forever.
That's cool.
Repetition.
And found it on there.
Yeah.
And I just finished my math final today.
Yeah.
There's a stat in Atomic Habits,
Write it
and it
down.
says human beings, when they set a goal, they have like a 60 or 30% chance of completing it.
Yep.
If you write it down, it goes up to like 60 or 70%. If you write it down and ask for accountability, it goes up into the 90th percentile.
Yeah.
So it's just, if it's that important to you, write it down and tell somebody about it.
Right.
If it doesn't work out well, you probably wouldn't have gotten it done anyways. But put that extra stuff in, and when you talk about that discipline and doing the stuff you enjoy and being able to get out of your lane, and switch to yoga. You heard from someone who you trust, who you value their opinion. That's why you went to them. They told you it was real, tried it out, probably hated it first, and now it's become a part of your, right?
Yeah, but you're right. I never really thought about that. As I have ever since I got clean, like all of us here. Like I finally stopped trying to force it my way.
Yeah.
And I started looking up to other guys in program, who've been there before, who I respected, and had a track record of success. And even to this day, right, I'm still asking those guys. I'm saying, hey, I have some weird beliefs, and this might be one of them. I have some weird 1980s kind of beliefs.
Yeah.
About,
But that's awareness, right?
Yeah.
You're
I'm like,
you're
hey, I know
aware.
me.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you think about that? He's like, oh, I think it's a great idea. So we started implementing yoga as part of our practice, and that's where that IOP model or the OTC model really came out. And it makes a lot of sense. We're all anxious guys. It's just how we are, right? We're aggressive, we're anxious. So now we're going to go through an hour and we're going to do a high intensity exercise. We're rowing, doing burpees, swinging kettlebells, doing all that stuff all together. We're going to burn off that anxiety. Then we're going to calm down, right? And we're going to get on the mats and we're going to relax. We're going to listen to some chill music. Not as chill as your theme song, but chill.
Appreciate the love, my man. I appreciate the love.
The lights come down, and they do this like mantra talk kind of stuff, and it's really cool. And now I get regulated, right? Emotional regulation. I get into that sweet spot. I'm very calm, and now all of a sudden, I'm more vulnerable and open and willing to share.
No.
Now this was the kind of stuff this was all stuff that like you'd study in school, and you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. But it's something you have to actually practice. Like, do it, right? Like, do the exercise, do the yoga, and then let's try and have a conversation, and let's see if we don't all go, wow, yeah, the words and the thoughts, they just flow a lot better. And I know Remember we were talking about
Absolutely,
that?
yeah.
You're like, I
Well, I
struggle
mean-
sometimes to like articulate myself, and I'm excited and I'm nervous, and there's all this energy, and it kind of gets in the way of my ability to communicate. Yeah, that's true in like a professional setting, but think about for the guys and gals out there that really need to tell their stories, that really need to communicate the trauma that they've been exposed to, but they can't because they can't get the words out, and it's because it's trapped in dysregulation and right they're blocked mentally and emotionally.
Well, and it aligns right up with pretty much AA, right? Like we get right spiritually and we straighten out physically and mentally.
Yep.
Right, and that's where that physical exertion, and you get the dopamine levels going, you get your endorphins going, the heart rate up, and then you bring your body back down to center, with the yoga, and it's you get right spiritually, and then you share in that group setting with everybody else who's going through similar things, and it's just a more intimate
Sure.
setting, and when I've been the most successful in relationships is when I was the most vulnerable with whoever I would, whether it be a
Shocker,
friendship.
right?
Right. And the things that I was scared of the most,
Yeah.
right? Was allowing people to get to know the real me, right? And I'm sure that's some of us can relate to that, but it's funny because I've always referred, like when I teach back to basics or whatever, I've always referred my recovery to working out. Right. And this is long before I ever ran into Rob. I was like, my recovery, when I it takes one day at a time. I'm not gonna change overnight. It takes commitment, right? It's gonna be hard. I'm gonna have to put in some work. I can go to the gym each and every day and I can sit there and watch somebody else work out, right? That physical trainer who I want to look like that guy walking by. I can watch whatever he does for 30 days, and I'm not going to get any closer to the gains that he has by watching him, right? Or I can sit there and I can emulate what he does, and he's got 315 pounds on the bar, 245s on each side or whatever, and I'm going to, I'm just going to do what he does, and I'm going to put 245-pound plates on each side. I'm not going to be able to get it off the
Now
rack.
you're talking my language.
Right? Right, and now I'm not going to get it off the rack, and then I can get up and get frustrated and walk out the gym and say, this shit doesn't work for me, right? Like I used to do in the program. Or I can get real and be like, all right, man, I want to look like you. I can find the man who has what I want, ask him how they got it, and then I got to take suggestion and guidance, right? And then if I do what he says to do each and every day, one day at a time, I'm going to achieve the gains he has, right? And I'm not going to notice it. I can look in the mirror every single day I work out. And I'm not going to see any gains. But if I take a picture from day one, and then I look at myself a year from now, that's when I'm going to notice that change.
Yeah.
It's the same in my recovery, right? It's commitment and dedication, one day at a time, and taking the suggestions and guidance from a trainer or mentor or sponsor, So it's
It's
all-
like,
it's all
it's
interconnected.
Yeah, it's like, so we drink water because our survival depends on it, right? And we're thirsty.
Absolutely.
We know at a subconscious level, we don't even think about it, we just drink, right? That's the same with building this, our survival depends on it.
Yeah.
So we seek out ways to now, I think has happened for a majority of us is that it's become built into our survival system. We rely on the information that we've gained, and it predicts our recovery,
Yeah.
Yep.
right? Repetition is the power of retention,
Yep.
Yeah.
The addiction to comfort. The addiction to comfort is a real fucker.
Comfort's a fucking killer, dude.
That's what
Comfort,
that's what my Joe taught
complacency,
me.
and
He said,
average.
you want to know what the biggest problem in America is? He's like, addiction to comfort.
Absolutely.
Everybody thinks that we're on this. We need to be more comfortable.
Yeah.
We need to have nicer, softer shit. We have to have nicer cars. We have to have everything to make everything more comfortable.
I think I
Life's
get more
not a pillow.
anxiety from being comfortable now.
That gives people.
Because I know it's almost like I feel like I need to be doing something because I'm afraid to get too comfortable, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You almost don't know how to find that.
I want to be
in
uncomfortable.
between.
I've gotten used to being uncomfortable, and I know there's change. when I
Earn
get
that comfort. You gotta earn it.
And then there's part of me that doesn't want to get uncomfortable. I'm like, this shit, where I'm about to go is really gonna fucking suck, dude.
Yeah.
So I got a couple
move
questions
it.
for you real quick. So say somebody was interested in your IOP program. Is that 1 day a week, 3 days a week, 5 days a week? How does that work, and how hard is it to get into?
Right now it is 4 days a week. We're just bringing on staff for it, so it's only it's a mixed group right now, 4 to 7, Monday through Thursday, and then we're
4 to 7 p.m.
4 to 7 p.m.
But so they're gonna come in. They're gonna do an intake and an assessment with our therapist, who's gonna come up with a treatment plan for them. and that could be anywhere from 2 to 4 days, depending on what they come up with. We are going to be developing. We are getting ready. We're pretty full in our 4 to 7 class. We're going to be developing a class from 6 to 9, and then eventually down the road, the vision is to have one, in the morning as well.
But this runs at at our location, which is a gym. So, we have the ability in 3 separate rooms, basically, to move that group, like a 12-person group, from, doing a physical fitness workout
Kind of circuit,
into
kinda.
another room, into a yoga space, and then into a group counseling room. So then you can run another program.
Well, I know there's potentially a lot of people listening that maybe are wanting to get better. Maybe you're down on their luck a little bit in their life and they're thinking, you know what, I really don't want to go into treatment. I don't want to get into a residential program. I don't want to have to do something like that for 30, 60, 90 days. Maybe they got kids, maybe they got a job, and they're just looking for an alternate option.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's at the base level, we're this thing that's called a community service agency, right? We're here to service the community. In particular, folks, guys,
Is that what that means?
The community service agency. No one knows what that is. No one's ever heard of it.
I get it.
Yeah, no one's ever heard of that.
I get it.
But for us here, for the community of folks in recovery, it just means we're your one-stop shop. Like, we want to be your peer support. We want to help you navigate that. I mean, I wish that my parents, when I was, I didn't get sober until I was 32 years old. So they didn't know what to do, right? There's the stigma associated with what I was doing. They didn't reach out to friends or family. Like, they didn't tell anybody. They tried to hide it, tried to just keep enabling me, giving me money, and hoping that I would grow out of this phase. And I remember them telling, like, they didn't know who to ask. They didn't know how to navigate any of this stuff. So, for those people that, if you have adolescents, you have a 13-year-old or 16-year-old,
Blueprint
and you're
program.
concerned about them. And I mean concerned about them, and like, maybe they're on video games 12 hours a day, sitting there doing whatever, watching pornography or anything. Great. Reach out to us. Let us be that, like, starting point. Maybe we can have that conversation with them. We can start those difficult conversations where sometimes, it's not only difficult for parents, but it's almost like it's
uncomfortable.
It's not even right. Like, again,
Do you guys offer aftercare? Is there something in
Yeah.
addition to the IOP?
Yeah, so when you graduate our IOP, you can go into or you transition into our CSA, right? Our CSA, what he's talking about, the community service agency, we have peer supports on site where we offer community classes. There's a schedule. If you go to our website, you'll see a schedule. First class is 5:30.
yeah, so we have like right now we got 5:30, 6:30, 7:30 a.m. classes 5 days a week, and then we have right now 4:30 p.m. class 5 days a week, and then we have a friends and family Saturday classes too. So anybody can come basically and participate in the classes on Saturday morning. But to your point is if you, let's say you graduate our IOP program, you have a lifelong connection to the CSA, and you can participate in those classes. But for as long as we can, we would still offer you like the wraparound services and do peer support with you. So that means we can help you navigate your probation, your parole. We can help you find housing, set you up with Jeremiah, and he'll go out there and help you. He'll help you get into new freedom, and he's got all those connections.
Yeah, so I advocate
so
for
we do all the peer support.
advocate for our clients in court, right? So we get obviously guys who come from the courts, whether it be the veterans courts or the drug treatment courts, and they go to our IOP program, they graduate. I still help them navigate those legal issues and meet the whatever requirements that the probation department and the courts have for them. And I advocate for them. I'm right there in the courts with them every single week. So that's we try to.
Yeah, we'll introduce them to anybody. I mean,
Right.
There's groups out there that are just like us, but they do peer support a little differently. They might help you get fingerprints, clearance cards. They might help you do that stuff, and it's like, yeah, that's not really our jam, but I'm gonna introduce you to this guy, and he's gonna help you do that.
And having that advocate there, it's
It's
so
that's what we
important.
are.
I thought I had the whole reentry thing figured out. I seen this, blah, blah, blah. I got invited to a reentry simulation that we hosted, New Freedom hosted at ASU. All these college kids, right? It's just a simulation. It's a 10-minute week. You have to go to these places. Every place you go, you have to have a bus pass in order to get there. And I watched these college kids. One of them decided to go back to jail so she could sell the stuff she had so she could get cash when she got back out to go and get all her resources. I watched two of them self-surrender to go to jail because it was too hard out there. They didn't have bus passes to get anywhere. They gave up. And it was just the way that mirrored reality. If you don't have someone, right? If you don't have that support system, like obviously it's not going to hit them the same way, and it shouldn't. You know, it was a
Of course.
early on corrections class.
Yeah.
But for someone with lived experience that's been through a bunch of shit, I was shocked that they were making literally the same fucking decisions that a lot of us have made in our addiction, well, you know, whether it's reentry or not. Like, why'd you go back to jail? It was just easier in there. And I asked, because one of the things on there is buying groceries every week. And there was a few of them that hadn't bought groceries in 2 weeks. I'm like, imagine your mindset if you don't have money for groceries. Well, you know, if you're not eating for, just imagine a couple of days. You're talking a week, 2 weeks, you haven't had money to buy groceries. I could not believe how effective that simulation was and how much that mirrored what actually goes on out there. So when you talk about, because I've been to court way too many fucking times, dude.
Right, absolutely,
and
me too.
That's usually a pretty fucking bad day.
Yeah, it's
You
scary.
know, even if you're getting out of jail, you know you're getting out to. I knew I was getting out to a shit show. I knew I was getting out to nothing. I knew I was going to look for my dope dealer. I don't want to say who it was.
Yeah.
But I'd go out looking for my dope dealer, and that was what I was going to do. I was going to be back in the shit again.
Yeah.
And to have someone there with an intervention to talk about them, hey man, there's some options. Even if they tell you to fuck off, at least they're making a decision and they know that there are options there, man. So
That's
I
why
applaud
we're
you.
here to let you know that you don't have to do this alone.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody has to do anything alone. And if we can be there to bridge that gap and be there to support you through whatever. I mean, I hate to say it, but I had a guy who I just went to his sentencing, right? And just the fact that I was just there gave him that comfort where he was like, I just appreciate you being there. I don't even want you to
Absolutely.
speak on my behalf,
And
right?
his mom, yeah.
Right, his mom. So I'm able to be there with his mom and his sister, his family, and kind of like bring their fears down a little bit on what they can expect, because they're obviously, we all see these
Worst
movies
case
and TV
scenario,
shows,
yeah.
right? Where we see Oz and they're like, oh my God, no, and I'm like, no, this is kind of what he's going to go through. He's going to get to Alhambra right away. Let's get him on, so they've been calling, texting me, so we're able to be more than just support for the client, right? So like I'm able to kind of help their family as well. So, and that's what we strive to do, and that's one thing I love about Rob is he's about helping people,
Yeah.
right? And I think
We'll figure it out later,
sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And
We'll
he
figure out
always
later.
said that,
Figure
like,
out-
Figure out later.
right?
Just
He's like,
helping people.
when I got into the veterans courts, he's like, I said, hey, these guys don't even have insurance, right? He's like, I don't care. They're veterans, get them in the program. We'll figure it all out later,
Yeah.
right?
No.
And just that is what really drew me to him, because, like he said, for so long I've been in the courts on my own, just trying to be there for somebody. Like I would want somebody to be there for
Yeah.
me. And I think together we've come up with this program where it's like, man, we can really truly help people, right? And there's just so many other
Sure, so many
areas
areas,
I don't
yeah.
want to talk about yet, because we're not quite there with the
Oh,
veteran
that's
community.
bullshit, dude. Spill it.
But there's just a lot of great things that I
It's cool because all these doors are opening because,
Yeah.
we inadvertently just doing the right thing.
That's it.
And like
It's
we're
that
helping
fucking simple.
We're helping
That it-
we're helping
that's
these folks who are in those positions that we've been ourselves, but we're also helping. I mean, the companies that sit at this table. It's
Yeah.
like we're advocating for you guys, and I know that's like such a weird thing to do, but I'm so sure it's the right thing
it's
to
not-
do from where I'm sitting. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I mean, New Freedom has their plate packed. We need to be able to help people get there, right? And we need to help people get into sanctuaries and to cornerstones and to crossroads. Because
their kids get into Horizon.
it's fucking hard. Help their kids get in front of you.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. I mean, there's
But,
not
but
enough
it is. It
places
seems like
that
such
for
a
adolescents.
well, what's the incentive? And it's like the incentive is that
Yeah.
it's the best for the client. It's the best outcome for them. And if that's really what you generally just go after, then it's kind of like doing what you love to do. Like the money will fall. Like we'll follow that. There's
that's
more
the
than
thing.
enough.
If you're
There's more
doing
than
the
enough.
right
And if
thing-
you guys are doing the right thing, well, then the guys like me and Jeremiah, well, we're going to send people to you.
Yeah.
Right, and that's really at the heart of
Right.
it.
Yeah. I definitely. I don't just send them to anywhere. Right. I
No,
really
fuck
believe in
no.
the
Yeah,
we
programs where
have-
I'm sending them, and that's why I really like to build those relationships with the New Freedoms, the Crossroads, the Cornerstones, the Horizon. Right. Like that's with our Blueprint program going into the Hopes. Is it the Hopes?
Yeah.
School. Right. Maybe
Hope's
something-
Treatment Center?
No, we work with adolescents. I don't know about you guys, but like at work in treatment, I identify so much with my usage and my recovery, and all things are treatment focused. I was approached by someone who was like, this program that you're running, it seems like it would be really, really good to run, like teenagers through, kids that are kind of struggling or maybe on the verge of,
Oh.
becoming an addict. And I never really saw it through that lens. I mean, like I never even thought about it.
No.
He's like, yeah, that's called like diversion or even drug prevention and stuff. And I'm like, you have to write this down for me, And,
Yeah.
and then I was like, oh yeah. Oh no, I'm equally passionate about that too.
Yeah.
I asked somebody who has an 18-year-old and a 9-year-old boy. Yeah, I'm equally passionate. I don't want my son. Do I want him to suffer? Yeah, because I want him to be tough. But does he need to go and live on the side of the street like I did? No, he don't need to go
No.
through that. That's
I
not what
wouldn't wish
want
that
for
on
him.
fucking
That's not what I
anybody.
wish on anybody. So yeah, our program, we've done several different things with adolescents. But for the last couple of years with one charter school, they're called Hope High School, but they're called Blueprint Education. They're a high school after school program. They bring over a group of students. It's a semester long elective, like when we were in school. It actually meets the educational standards. It has we don't necessarily talk about drugs. We talk about this stuff that we're talking about. Like, what is the purpose of exercising? It's a healthy coping skill. Why do I need those? Does it help regulate my emotions? We talk about all that kind of stuff with them. They come in 2 days a week after school, and we've graduated now, I think, 5 classes, 18, 20 students. And I was just blown away at the reception that we got and just how incredible it was. Now, obviously, I'd love to expand something like that, and like I'd love the opportunity to do that, but that is a money thing. It's a resource thing.
Yep.
I don't have the capacity to do it. But yeah, Jesus, like
Yeah.
a whole other side topic, right? Like,
Yeah.
why aren't we doing the things that the guys at this table have done to become successful with adolescents?
Absolutely.
Right, starting to impart some of this wisdom and starting put them through some of these types of different things that we've been a part of. And so we did that, and then we got invited to start a drug prevention coalition, which now we have. Shout out to Amanda, she's incredible. So we made her director of our drug prevention coalition. She makes sure that within our area, which is like 35th Avenue to Cave Creek, Northern, all the way up to like Deer Valley, it's 225,000 citizens. And she works with the public school system, charter schools in that area. She gets like naloxone trainings out. She gets information out passed on by the federal government. And we make sure that there's that
For
awareness.
things
But
like vaping, drug prevention.
yeah, using Snapchat and all the dangers of that stuff.
Yeah.
And like she does that, which for us, from a branding standpoint, like again, we're a mentorship program. We want to be here for anybody at any stage that they might be struggling. So yeah, again, like Horizon, it's that blurred line, man. It's like when should we intervene? At what point in someone's life or at the stage, like, do we go, this person's on a real slippery slope? They don't have
Teach
any
them how
healthy
to-
coping skills.
teach them how to
They're already
double
starting to
labor
use drugs
mindset,
at 14
you know?
years old. It's like, when do you call that? When do you want to intervene? Right? Where's that arbitrary line that's like, oh, now they're an addict, now they need treatment. It's like, well, why don't we touch base with that person before that gets there? Probably much like Haven.
Yeah, one of the things an old timer told me when I was younger is he told me, youngster, the thing with youth is they have the most to gain and the most to lose, because you've got your entire life ahead of you. And I remember when he told me that, I was maybe 15 years old, stumbled into an AA meeting. My family shoved me into treatment, and I would forget that, because he was right. Had I been able to get it right and deal with my stuff then, I wouldn't have had to spend 17 years in prison.
Yep.
I wouldn't have had to go through all this heartache.
Yep.
So that's the benefit to working with youth, is that we can help teach them not to have to go through the same stuff that we went through.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. I don't want anybody to have to go through what I went through.
Nope.
I don't want anybody to have to experience that.
Yeah, so that's just something that we're trying to do, and obviously Haven's one of those companies that's been doing Horizon. Yeah. Terrible.
I was like, who works at Haven?
Yeah.
50 that
Yeah.
intervention on the front end, teaching these kids through a means of an outlet, how to tackle out that dark place, where you say you're not good enough. And, you're right. You have all these different things that they're exposed to now that we weren't. Social media, validation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to one of these coalition events at Moon Valley High School
Yeah.
they have the FBI there who's talking about like kids getting on Snapchat or Roblox, right? It's Roblox. I was blown away at my daughter. I was like, okay, that's it. You're never leaving the house again, right?
It's
But
scary.
It is scary.
There's a lot of weirdos out there.
There is, and the way they mask themselves as other children, right? I was just blown away, and that coalition, I learned so much in that hour that like I would have had I not gone, I mean, I'm so glad I went because I learned.
Yeah, it was all, yeah.
It was just blown away, and the vaping statistics, and I was just.
Well, this,
wow.
this is a fun one I thought was really interesting. It's called normative beliefs. So, you guys all used when we were younger, like teenagers here?
No, I did. I
You didn't.
I didn't start till after I got out of the Marine Corps.
Okay.
The very tail end of the Marine Corps.
I'm with you. Yeah.
When you ask like a 14 or 15-year-old, right? When you ask them, what percentage of your high school, I guess that's like a 15 or 16-year-old, what percentage of your high school do you think engages in like, and obviously we probably talk a little bit like more like a teenager, but that engage in like illicit drug use or risky behavior? That answer is very indicative of a lot. When I went to school, I would have told you by the time I was a freshman what percentage of my school engages in like blackout drinking. I would say like 85%.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Yeah.
Right. And that's because everybody I knew, my circle of friends, engaged in risky behavior. If you ask my wife, what percentage of your high school did? She would say, I don't know, like 10 or 15%. And that's the truth. That's about the amount of people that she knew that did.
She's talking about you and your friends.
No, yeah.
Well, Rob and I don't believe her, right? Because we're like, no, everybody goes through
That's
what we
right.
did.
But the normative belief is that, but everyone did. And that's a lie. That's just not true.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that. It's 15% of your high schools, your public high schools, 20% of your worst that you can imagine. That's who's actually using.
No.
It's not 100% like we all think. That's a normative
It comes-
belief.
If they're even able to stay in school.
Yeah.
I was out of
All my
school at
friends
14.
used drugs and drank. It's like, that's
15.
right. That's a good, now you have that awareness. Be careful if all of your friends are using drugs and drinking.
Yeah, sophomore, I was done.
That stands out.
Yeah, man, it stands out.
So Colleen McGregor came on. She said Rob J. Best.
Yeah.
She's awesome. I love Colleen.
Colleen is the reason. It's actually her fault. She saw me on a newscast when we were a nonprofit doing free classes for people in recovery out of my CrossFit gym. The news came out, really cool, felt like a big star, and Colleen saw that, and she literally showed up not long after. She said, "I saw you were on the news. I want to talk to you." And she then took me through, and I tell this story because Colleen's worked in Medicaid space for quite a while. She speaks that language fluently. And I sat there for an hour and I couldn't understand anything she said. Yeah. But I did understand one thing. She said, if you let me help you, I'm going to take you down a road to allow you to do something that no other company has ever done in the country. And I'm going to teach you how to basically join this Medicaid space. And the work that you're already doing, it falls in alignment with peer support, which is something you can bill Medicaid for. So I'm going to help you, right? We're going to do something that no one's ever done before. We're going to turn this little thing that you're doing into something much, much bigger. And, my ego was like, fuck yeah, I'll be number one?
The only one in the country? I'm in.
I'm in. I don't know what you just said, but I'm in. So it's Colleen's fault. She, true to her word, yeah, she was right. It was a lot of work and it was really, really challenging. But ultimately, it's why I'm sitting here with you guys today, is because Colleen saw something in the program that we were doing, and she knew the space. She knew the need for like what we were doing was so relevant and impactful that, yeah, she's really the first champion for barbell that really stands out.
Does Colleen work out?
Oh yeah.
My goodness.
I've been to dinner at her house
Super fit.
once or twice. Everything's healthy. That's the reason I have
God.
LaCroix in my fridge. She's literally the one who turned me on to it. And I love it now. I don't drink. I drink less soda, a lot less soda, because I have that in my fridge. And she's the one. Like if I'm at, I remember I saw her at. I was speaking at an event.
Yeah.
And she was there, and I was eating, and she was coming. And I'm like trying to hide the shitty stuff that I got on my plate from her.
Yeah. Oh, she's
So
fantastic.
I need you alive. Do you want to die?
Have some LaCroix.
She's the best. She's the best. Shout out to Banner. I'm sure that helps.
Absolutely. A little bit of banner there.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
a shout out just for me. Chris said, a guy I used to do yoga with, he said, don't let George lie to you. He's a beast at yoga. We did
nice.
yoga. I'm definitely not, but
Yeah.
we did a yoga for a pretty long time in Globe.
Oh, that's
kind of
cool.
where I got into it. We had this kid there that he was a yogi or whatever he was. He doing all kinds of extreme stuff, and he'd run us down through there. Didn't break us off before we went and worked out.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah, that was,
I've got to give a shout out to Nicole.
Yeah, our yoga instructor.
She is amazing. I mean, I can't do what she does. I've tried real hard to beat her, but like she can hold that pose.
Oh, yeah.
One leg straight out. I can't do it. My daughter can do it, but I can't. So
I can do it with a wall.
yeah. Well, right. Yeah, I can do it with the chair.
If I got
she
a
tells me to
counter.
get a chair, I'm like, no. Right. That ego comes back. No, I'm not the chair, but then I fall over.
Ashley just bought this. Fitness hasn't been on in my repertoire, right? I'm fucking up. I'm getting away from the shit that worked and all that other stuff. So I'm trying to reel it back in. And Ashley bought this app, and they do yoga and fitness and all this other stuff. And they did this leg thing with this very petite, in shape female.
Can I see it?
That thing,
No, I'm just no, come on, get it.
that thing broke me off.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, that stuff is.
We are going to
next
come to
level.
Barbell Saturday, right? Saturday morning.
I'm speaking at Soberfest on Saturday up in Rock.
The following Saturday.
Springs. The following Saturday, I think I have a thing. I got to check my calendar.
I think eventually we're gonna have a private workout for the podcast.
Absolutely.
That's what we should do.
Yes.
Three days a week.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Let's just do one.
I do.
Let's start with one. Little 21, 15. Tell Aaron.
You ever heard of Atomic Habits? You start small.
Easy. Just get him to agree to a 30-minute stretch fest or something we can do first.
There we go.
Yeah, we do.
Maddie's actually been giving me shit. You said you were going to come to Barbell. I'm like, no, I just.
Oh, she's the best too.
One of my favorite.
She's so good at what she does.
I got to go speak at her class with my case manager from prison, a correctional officer from prison, who was like my last correctional officer my last case manager before I got out.
Yeah.
And me and him got to go and share with her class and talk. And I wore a shirt that said convicted felon.
Yeah.
And the reason I wore it was because I wanted to talk about labeling. Labeling's a big deal.
Right.
It's a big deal for me personally. It's
Right.
not it doesn't mean it's not important for other people.
Right.
But for me, like those words, whatever, like
Yeah.
you know what bothers me the most? When people call me by my last name. If you call me Nolan, it just triggers me from prison because that's all the cops called me, whatever.
Yeah.
But like the words, they don't really bother me. But I wanted to talk about labeling.
Yeah.
And she was she's like, why the fuck are you wearing this shirt?
Yeah.
I tell them not to call you guys this all the time.
Right.
I'm all, that's why I'm wearing
That's why
it.
I'm wearing it. Do you see what I'm doing? It's genius.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. A shirt that says junkie. What are you doing? What? I'm proving a point.
I'm proving a point. I'm taking ownership of this
I'm
shit.
the stigma.
And for the people that don't know Maddie, she's like the most positive and just happy and full of energy. Her and Sean are just amazing, man. And
Yeah.
I'm really glad. And like, she speaks so highly of you guys inside the prisons and talking to guys about recovery, reentry, going to programming when you're inside a prison. No one wants to fucking hear that shit.
Right.
But if you talk to guys about places, you can go work out for free.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, let me hear about
That's
that.
a pretty good attention getter. And I'm not saying that's what Barbell is,
Yeah.
but that's a pretty good attention getter. I can go there for free. Oh, and I get this. And you're doing something I already like, habit stacking, adding some stuff to it. It's fucking brilliant, man. I love it.
I think that's been one of our biggest obstacles. Like, if to anybody listening is they can't wrap their head around it. Like, nothing in this world is free, right? And it's true.
Yeah.
But it's not money that you have to pay, right? It's sweat. Like, it isn't, but it is free. And I think that there's like this thought process that's like, Barbell Saves Project. I don't know much about it. Is it like a gym that like you just go to and then you work out and it's free, or is it like, what's that like? The experience like? And it's always free. You can always just show up to any of the classes and you'll get the same consistent, class structure. You'll have the same instructors and coaches. You follow programming, like that whole stuff. You get like a cool app, and then you can sign into classes. You can track your fitness progress over time. That's something that's really fun to see, is that we've got guys and gals that have been there for the last 3 or 4 years, and we can track all this stuff, and they've got 600, 700 visits, and you can see it, right? It's like,
so
geez,
awesome.
these people are fit as shit. And now they're getting into like competitions. They're running marathons. They're doing all kinds of fun stuff, and
Or the open.
they do the CrossFit Open. They get, and
That thing's fucking insane, dude.
yeah,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
I mean, Tammy, our head coach, she's
Level 3.
She's 29 in spirit, but she's 56, 55 now this year, and she last year competed in the CrossFit Games. So 19th fittest woman in the planet. That holds. I mean, like I'm telling you, it'd be real hard pressed to find a female out there that can kick up against this wall and do strict handstand push-ups. Well, she can do about 20 of those.
She can
jump up on a bar and do
handstand
about
walk.
25 pull-ups.
She
Real
can
pull-ups.
handstand walk a full football field length
Oh
and back.
yeah, I mean this not
And
well,
back?
no, that was a little exaggeration, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
But I mean that's the kind of like these are your instructors, right? I mean these are the
Broke me off.
It's pretty cool. And I think that's another component that's like kind of lost is like, you know, these are high level professional fitness instructors. These are high level yoga instructors.
No.
You know, Sydney, he's a black belt in some martial art, but he's also like one of these guys who can do these like one-handed handstands. He can do the, you know, all the crazy like ninja kind of stuff.
He can hang from his toes off the chin-up bar.
So
pulse bar.
Is that
I
true?
used to
Yeah.
be.
Oh yeah, he
I
can
used
do
to be a ninja.
Yeah.
Is there an employment route for me there as well? Bring some ninja stuff to the gym. I still got the cool mask.
Yeah, there you go. Chinese stars, yeah.
We're getting into our last few minutes here.
Sure.
By few, I mean like we got about 2 minutes left before we got to go.
Do we have a song that's gonna play us out?
No, you guys are actually going to sing some music. If you guys would like to.
Good night, sweetheart.
There you go. You're ready.
Yeah.
You're easy, bro. If something you want to leave everybody with tonight, that would be awesome as we wrap up here.
Oh no, I just want to say thanks to you guys for having us here. This was like a lot of fun.
Cool, man.
I had low expectations coming in. And,
Thank God. Thank
We
God.
nailed it.
Thank you.
Please. You're right on the mark.
And I second everything Rob says. I mean, I appreciate you guys having us. I love each and every one of you, and I definitely look forward to more work out of the blender.
Yeah. I want to get you guys in the gym. I want to work out with you, and it would be really cool to kind of like, you know, try to put something on the books to hold us accountable. Let's go a year from now and say we're coming back in a year to talk.
I'll tell you right now, when we get off here, I'll set a date with you and I'll be there.
All right. Right on.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You got it. Assholes.
That's all. Yeah. Edit that part out.
We don't do it. I don't know how to edit.
Yeah, you pride yourself on
That's
not
the
editing. And it's like, he doesn't know how to edit.
Yeah. You got to turn your weakness into a
We documented it.
Yeah.
And we spoke it into existence to people. So.
Here it is.
George, you guys gonna take 3 hours to edit? Then I guess it ain't getting edited yet. Fair enough.
Yeah. Right on.
All right, man. Well, we love you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for coming over and hanging out. And Barbell Saves, go get your workout on. I know Chris Stewart was on here. There's a fucking gym. You live down the street. Get over there, bud.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
Love you guys. Bye.
Thanks.
We'll see Stu.